It's a long way from the magic island of Euclidia to Hollywood, California. But the presence of the Euclidean scientists in Hollywood has reduced that distance to nothing. When Jerry and Joan went on a tour of Hollywood Boulevard, giving Joan her first view of the world in which most of us live, and contrasting sharply with her life on the island, the plan was to see a moving picture show. That plan was rudely interrupted, however, for as the youngsters stood on the corner of Hollywood and Vine Streets, a newspaper extra told the world of a strange event. 2 submarines have been found in the channel just outside Los Angeles Harbor. They must be Euclidean submarines, and a man who is disguised as a blind street vendor is identified by Joan as one of the Euclidean scientists. The young couple are in Mrs. Gregory's car, rushing to her home with the news.
Jerry, you are doing very foolish things with this motor car.
Well, I want to get to your mother's house, don't I?
But you are breaking many of the rules you told me about.
Well, this is the time to break them. Your mother and Captain Bradford can explain to the police. They'll see that it's time to hurry.
All this is very confusing to me. On Euclidia, all things were in order. Here in your world, all things are mixed up.
What's wrong now?
There are so many different names on the intersections of the streets.
You couldn't have all streets with the same name, could you?
But it would be possible to use only numbers, would it not?
It would not. The way some people write, the post office never would figure out where a letter was going.
But how does anyone ever learn all of these things? Oh, Jerry!
Oh, what's the matter now?
Nothing. Now. You nearly struck that other car.
You mean he nearly hit me, but he didn't. Well, here we are at your mother's house.
And I am glad.
Huh. After all the things you took me riding in on Euclidia, all those trick elevators and stuff, you've got a lot of nerve to talk to me about a little fast driving.
That was far different. On Euclidia, everything is mechanically perfect. Here, the human element is given too many opportunities to make mistakes. And your driving is a mistake.
Oh, okay. I'm a mistake. But here's the house. Fall out.
Fall out?
Yeah, get out. Jump out. Come on, hurry up.
I wonder if Mother and the captain will be here.
That's what I was wondering. You know, if they've heard about those submarines, they might have taken out for the harbor on the run.
Perhaps we should have gone directly to the harbor.
No, I think they'd want us to come here.
Jerry, do you just attempt to open the door and go into anyone's home?
No, not every day, but this is an emergency.
You might save time by ringing the bell.
Oh, so you learned we got doorbells in this country, have you?
To be sure. Mother let me ring the bell nearly all morning.
Huh. Fine business for a 15-year-old girl, ringing the doorbell all morning.
I had never seen one before.
I'll bet the servants love that, running to answer a bell all morning.
They did not do that. Mr. Johnson explained to them that I was only experimenting with it.
Some experiment. Well, maybe you had fun ringing it, but I can't get a sound out of it.
If you would open the door as I had it this morning, you would hear the bell ring.
Yeah, and if I could open the door as you had it this morning, I wouldn't need the bell.
Jerry, it opens.
Sure it does.
Come in quickly, both of you.
Mother, we have news.
Not here.
Gee, what's all the mystery?
Follow me into the radio room and I'll tell you. These stairs are steep and dark, so be careful.
Now, Mrs. Gregory, what is it?
Sit down there, Jerry, and you over here, Joan. I'll sit near the radio set so that I can use it quickly if Tex calls.
Where is the captain?
Now, one thing at a time. You've never seen this room before, have you, Jerry?
No, Mrs. Gregory.
And of course, Joan's never seen it.
No, Mother.
Then a few words of explanation might be in order. This room is soundproofed for a number of important reasons which I haven't time to go into now. However, I think that the various activities surrounding us this minute are of sufficient importance to warrant using this room for all of our discussions.
Then it's all right to say anything we want to in here, huh?
Perfectly safe, Jerry.
Okay. They found our submarine.
And the other which followed us to California.
Yes, we know that.
I thought you would. Got it over the radio, huh?
No, Johnson is at the harbor. He phoned us before the radio stations or papers had the news.
But they did find the subs.
Well, at least someone saw them, though Johnson was sure no one had been near enough to examine them.
Why were those submarines exposed in that manner?
That's what Johnson and Tex are trying to find out now.
Captain Bradford's going down the harbor?
Yes, he left the moment Johnson phoned.
What does the captain expect to learn?
Well, the most important thing is to determine whether any of the Euclideans left that submarine. we may find that they've landed a number of scientists here in town.
I'll bet they did at that. But there was one they didn't have to land. He's been here all the time.
Thales,
That's the one.
And, Mother, we have seen Thales.
you've seen him.
Joan said it was Thales.
Well, did he see you?
He spoke to us.
Spoke to you?
Uh-huh.
Well, when? Where?
Hollywood and Vine.
What was he doing?
He was disguised as a blind man.
See, we got an extra about the subs, and this blind man came over and asked us to read our paper to him. Well, I thought he was blind, so I read him the headlines and a little about what happened.
But you're sure it was Thales?
Perfectly sure, Mother. I know him well. And while he was reading the paper in Jerry's hand, I was able to see his eyes behind the glasses. It was Thales, without doubt.
Did he know you recognized him?
I am sure he did not, Mother. I gave no sign of recognition, and I did not tell Jerry what I had seen until Thales was some distance from us.
Well, I don't see where it makes any difference. He knew who we were, all right. He must have been following us all the time we were walking around the boulevard.
And if he saw you hurry off to us with this news, he'll know that you recognized him.
I think not. It was only natural that we should hurry to you with the news of the submarines.
Yes, well, that's so.
Well, I was a little surprised when Joan told me who he was, but now that I've had a little time to think it over, I'm not so surprised at all.
No, Jerry, it's only what we might have expected, and Captain Bradford was right. He didn't want you two to go out alone today, but I overruled him.
Oh, we didn't get hurt.
And I see no reason for any fear of Thales. Like all the other Euclideans, his interest in us is only relative to his interest in the captain's formula.
But don't you understand, Joan, that if they could kidnap you or Jerry, or any one of us for that matter, we would sacrifice the formula to secure your release?
Gee, I never thought of that.
Nor did I.
I've thought of it every minute since you've been gone.
Well, we weren't taking much chance, though. Joan and I'd be a couple of pretty noisy people to kidnap on Hollywood Boulevard in broad daylight.
Of course, we would not allow such a thing to happen to us.
Oh, I know you think you wouldn't. But suppose you discovered you were late for the show or late for dinner coming home. You wouldn't take time to look in the rear seat of the car very carefully, would you?
Golly whiskers, Joan. Your mother's right. If we hadn't run for the car the minute after we saw Thales, why, he might have hidden on the floor in the back.
That is true. And that is one more danger in your strange country.
Our strange country?
Yeah, I had that all morning. After all the danger and crazy things we went through on that island, Joan thinks it's more dangerous on Hollywood Boulevard.
Well, she may be right. On Euclidia, you're aware of your constant danger and take steps to protect yourself. While in this country, you wander carelessly around the streets without a thought of such things.
That is exactly what I was trying to explain to Jerry.
Oh, I can see it now, and it sure puts us in a hole.
We're in no danger as long as we remain in this house. We're guarded by automatic devices as clever as any on Euclidia.
Why do you have such a mysterious house, Mother?
Yeah, I asked her that a long time ago, Joan, but I didn't get any answer.
And I'm afraid the answers must be just as unsatisfactory this time, Jerry.
I think, Mother, that you and the captain are engaged in some enterprise which you prefer to have kept secret.
That's something like it, Joan, but more than that I can't say, except to assure you that whatever it is, it's entirely honest and to our credit.
Oh, sure, we know that, but I'd like to know a little more. Are you government agents?
Now, Jerry, please, no more questions.
Oh, okay.
And now I must call Tex.
You will not use the radio, will you?
No, that might be too dangerous. I'll use our private phone line to the station in Wilmington. Either Tex or Johnson will be there.
Well, Mrs. Gregory, I don't mean to butt in, but if Tex and Johnson are busy down at the harbor, well, I don't think you ought to bother them with our news.
Jerry is correct, Mother. Thales can do us no harm now.
Well, I know all that. But it may help Tex to be fully informed. And not only that, I want to test this line. It may be tapped.
How can you tell if it is?
One of the captain's inventions. He has developed an instrument for testing the balance of a line which is so delicate that even a piece of metal touching that line at any point will register.
The captain is very clever.
Boy, and am I glad he is, with all the stuff that's going on around us now.
I'll set the automatic recording device and you may hear our conversation.
This is indeed a well-equipped communication chamber, Mother.
We use the recorder to transcribe important messages delivered while we're out. Now, if you'll both be very quiet. Hello, Wilmington.
Wilmington,
Jerry and Joan safely returned home. News of submarines is on the street.
getting extras here clear now.
Any progress?
Not much. Johnson is working from amphibian plane. Water is apparently free of submarines now. What from your end?
Thales talked to Jerry and Joan on Hollywood Boulevard.
Repeat.
Thales talked to Jerry and Joan on Hollywood Boulevard.
Right. Any disclosures?
None. He is disguised as a blind man, apparently following them at all times.
Keep them home. Stay there yourself. Give the servants a week off. Set the automatic controls for the entire estate.
Servants gone. Control set. We will remain within the house.
Good. I'll call you at half-hour intervals, except return at sunset. Check your disturbance graph.
Checked. The line is open somewhere.
I thought so. That is all. Wilmington.
Now we can talk freely.
You were right. That phone line had been tapped, and those Euclideans, or one of them, must have heard all you said.
Undoubtedly, but we didn't say anything they didn't know.
The captain has learned very little at the harbor.
Oh, I'm not too sure of that, Joan. Tex sounded to me as if he could tell us a great deal more than he did.
Well, that phone line being tapped sure proves one thing to us. Thales isn't the only Euclidean spy in town.
How does it prove that?
Well, he hasn't had time to get from the boulevard over to where he could tap this wire.
Quiet, Jerry. Watch that green light in the corner. There, see it flash?
Yeah. What's that?
The alarm. And it's the inside alarm. Someone is through the outer alarm and in this house.
But, Mother, how could they get through the outer alarms?
I had the gate open for you and Jerry. I set the alarms and closed the gates as soon as you came up the drive. I'm afraid you, too, had company.
Gee, we did forget to look in the back of the car, and I'll bet it wasn't empty.
The magic island of Euclidia seems to have as much effect on the lives of our friends in Hollywood as it did when they were on the island. Jerry and Joan went out in the afternoon, and one of the scientists met them on Hollywood Boulevard. When they rushed home to tell Mrs. Gregory and Captain Bradford that a newspaper extra is on the street with the story of the finding of their submarine, they found Mrs. Gregory alone. The house is protected by automatic alarms. The captain is down at the harbor trying to get further news of the submarine. As Mrs. Gregory explains the alarm system to Jerry and Joan, the signal light flashes in the radio room. Someone has managed to get inside the ground and is entering the house.
Yes, there it is again. Someone is getting into the house.
Well, let's go and do something about it.
Wait, Jerry, wait. We're quite safe in this radio room.
But, Mother, suppose they enter rooms where your valuables are kept.
We have a number of little surprises that will prove very interesting to anyone who goes too far. And we might do something very foolish if we tried to interfere just now.
You mean we just sit still and let the alarm catch whoever it is?
Well, something like that.
Is that possible, Mother?
Almost, Joan. If you'll notice that board where the green lights were flashing, you will note that there are a number of such small lights, and every one of them represents a room or a corridor in this house.
Then the progress of the person breaking in is visible to us at all times.
Exactly.
It's a swell idea to be able to tell just what room a burglar's in, but what good does it do if we just sit here and let him go through the rest of the house?
Well, there is one room, the study on the second floor, which will be easier to get into than to get out of.
Gee, a trap, huh?
You might call it that.
Will this person be caught in that room, Mother?
Yes. Our most valuable possessions are in that room, and naturally, anything we have which would attract the attention of a person clever enough to get into the house at all must be in that room.
I think we may safely admit the probably high intelligence of this person who is now going through your house.
Well, if it's one of those blame Euclideans, he'll be plenty smart, all right.
And I believe it is one of those Euclideans.
Mother, Jerry, there goes another of the green lights.
Yes, that's the main stairway. Apparently, our friend is making straight for the study.
I hope he gets into it quick. How does the trap work?
Well, every door and window in the room is closed by a steel panel the moment the room is entered by anyone who does not know how to set the switches before entering.
And those steel panels will hold the prisoner safely until you are ready to release him.
Exactly. Captain Bradford designed it, and we've caught a few burglars that way.
I wish he'd hurry up and get in there. Which green light is for that room?
Well, it's the center of the board, and is slightly larger than the others.
I see it.
Oh, so do I. Say, the light right next to it went on.
Yes. The study will be the next room entered.
Will another signal show when the steel panels have closed?
When that happens, an alarm gong will ring.
Will we hear it in the soundproof room?
Yes, Jerry. It's connected in here.
How long should it take?
Any moment now.
Say, Mrs. Gregory, I thought I saw the light next to that one flash on and off.
Next to it?
Yeah, just to the left of it.
There it is again.
Why, you're right. But I can't understand that. Why would anyone pass that room and start on down the service stairs?
Well, I don't know the answer, but from the way those lights are going on and off, he's leaving that room behind and leaving it fast.
May we not go out and intercept him, Mother?
Oh, I think not yet, Joan. If he hasn't entered that room, nothing of value has been touched, and we might find it very dangerous.
If it is someone clever enough to know that that room was a trap, might he not be clever enough to imprison us in this room?
Yeah, that's an idea. Maybe we're in the trap ourselves.
No chance of that, Jerry. In an emergency, this entire side of this room can be made to open out merely by pushing on it. And at the same time, alarms are rung at the police and fire departments. I think you'll find that we can get out.
This is sure some house.
It is indeed. I am surprised, Mother, that you and the captain should seem so impressed with the things you saw on Euclidia. You have nearly the same type of thing here.
Only in a few instances, Joan, dear. The captain is clever, but he's only one man, while Euclidia is a colony of the world's greatest scientists, gathered for a purpose and devoting their lives to science.
That is true.
Well, that reminds me of something I've been wanting to ask you for a long time, Joan. If they're great scientists from all over the world, then a lot of people must know them. Why doesn't somebody worry about where these men are or ask questions about them?
I've often wondered about that, Jerry, and so has Tex.
I think I can answer that, or partly so.
Then hurry up and do it. The way things happen to us, I think we need all the answers we can get.
Are any of G47's men well known to the world, Joan?
It is my belief that a number of the scientists on Euclidia are men who have been well known in various countries of the world.
But if that's true, why didn't we recognize them? Tex knows most of the prominent men in science throughout the world. He's worked with many of them in laboratories and on expeditions. And surely he would have seen someone he knew on the island.
Well, the only thing about that is that all those Euclideans have that funny way of talking. They all use high, squeaky voices.
There you have hit upon the answer, if my belief is true, Jerry.
What do you mean, Joan?
For some time, in fact, since I have grown old enough to understand that there was another world than Euclidia, I have felt that everyone on the island was wearing a disguise and were disguising their voices.
Gee, maybe some of the men we saw on the island are men from this country.
They are from every country, of that I am sure. And most of them are men and women, famous men and women of all countries, who have supposedly been lost with expeditions, or who were passengers on ships which were supposed to have sunk.
Supposed to have sunk?
Yes, Mother. I am sure that many famous people who were supposedly lost at sea and in the air are now associated with G47 on the island of Euclidia.
Golly whiskers. What an idea that is.
It's tremendous. Think what it would mean to the world if it could be proven that many of the famous characters of the last 10 or 20 years, supposedly lost forever, are members of G47's colony.
But why would they do a thing like that?
There are many famous people in all lands who are not satisfied with their lives, or who feel that they would have a greater freedom for their scientific work in such a colony as Euclidia.
I can understand that, but how did they learn of Euclidia? How did they reach the island, become members of the colony without the rest of the world learning of it?
Yeah. How did they know about Euclidia and how to find it?
I believe that G47 has ways of communicating with those persons whom he believes valuable to him.
But, Joan, G47 made it very plain that he considers Captain Bradford important. Yet he made no effort to get him to come to Euclidia.
He came to Euclidia, did he not?
Sure, but that was looking for you.
And how did the news that I was on the island reach you?
Joan, you're right. Why, you must be right. G47 allowed the news of your life there to reach us. When he decided the time had come to have Captain Bradford on the island.
Precisely.
And if that's right, then old G47 will keep trying to get Tex or his formula until he does get it.
I think so.
It looks very much as if our experiences with G47 have only started.
Sure looks like it. That old guy sure hangs on to an idea when he gets his hands on it.
And, Jerry, I think you are wrong about that also.
About what?
You always say old G47. I think that if the truth were known, G47 is a young man. I am sure he is under 40, and his beard and heavy glasses are worn only as a disguise.
G47, a young man?
Well, if he's under 40, he's certainly a young man, at least in the professional or scientific world.
Well, that sounds like it might be true. There ought to be some reason for those funny voices all those Euclideans use, and if they're doing it as a disguise, that makes sense.
Indeed it does. But we'll have to forget that for a minute and remember where we are. Our visitor has left the house.
Oh, Mother, we were careless in talking so long. Now all those little green lights have gone out.
Oh, I wanted to go and catch that fella a long time ago. Now it's too late.
No, Jerry, that wouldn't have been wise. We're better off here. The alarm system showed that the study was not entered, and whatever our visitor came after, he didn't get.
Yeah, but don't you
Wait a
think we
minute,
could...
quiet, Jerry, quiet, please. Both of you, be very quiet. Hello, Wilmington. Ready. Go ahead.
Have just made some important discoveries which I can't give you now. Have you had a visitor this afternoon?
Yes. The alarm system showed steady progress through most of the house. Jerry, Joan, and myself remained in this room.
That is excellent. Do not leave that room until I arrive.
When will that be?
Within the hour.
Isn't there anything we can be doing?
Nothing, except stay in that room. Do not leave it for any reason, and do not open the door.
I understand.
Johnson may arrive before I do. He has full instructions, but do not attempt to come out and meet him. He will release you. That is all.
That is all. Well, Tex certainly feels that we're in danger.
Yeah. He said not to leave this room.
Does that mean that the intruder whose progress we followed with the alarms has managed to secrete himself within this house?
Well, I would say no. Definitely no.
Then how's he going to hurt us if we go out of this room?
Well, I think it's highly probable that he's left some sort of trouble waiting for us out there.
That could easily be done. And the captain would know that if the element of danger to us had been safely placed from the outside, it may be safely removed from the outside.
That's it, Joan.
You mean that guy left some sort of a trap out there that's set to do something to us when we open the door? But if Tex waits for Johnson to get us out, we'll be all right?
That's the way I see it, Jerry.
And I feel that is correct.
Then it must be right. But why didn't the fellow, whoever he was, take his time and go through the study while he had us penned up in here?
Well, I think we'll find that this visit was purely one of testing our strength. An attempt to get our secrets would have been more carefully planned.
That is reasonable.
Maybe. But it looks to me like there wasn't much wrong with the way this one was planned.
The captain will be here within the hour, he said. Surely we can wait that long.
I know blame well I can.
And I, Jerry. There's no sense in running into a danger we know exists.
But one thing I'd like to know is how Captain Bradford, way down there at the harbor, knows more about what's going on here than we do.
That had occurred to me also.
And I'll have to refuse to answer. There are many things about this home and our system of communication which would add to your knowledge, but it would also add to your danger. And for the present, I feel that you're safer if you know very little about what's going on around you.
Oh, I guess so. But I'd still like to know.
Mother, what is that peculiar odor?
Odor, dear?
Yes.
You're right, Joan. I can smell something.
Well, I wonder...
Smoke.
Jerry.
I'm sure it is, Mrs. Gregory. I can smell smoke.
No doubt of it. There is smoke in this house.
Why, this room is supposed to be airtight except for the air conditioning.
Do you suppose that fellow set the house on fire?
Oh, I don't think so. But even if he did, we stay here.
Stay in this room with the house burning?
Yes, this room is fireproof, and it will stand alone if the rest of the house burns to the ground, and the study will do the same.
Are you sure it's safe to remain?
Nothing is ever absolutely safe where fire is concerned, but I'm sure we're safer in here than we would be trying to get out.
Well, I don't like it much. My idea about fires is to try getting out of them.
Would it not be wise to open the door slightly and investigate?
No, sit still, both of you. Tex said for us to stay in this room, to keep that door closed, and we'll stay here if the house burns.